All right, the first step in installing this is to put these little pucks together. You'll notice that it does have a R and the other one's a left. And there's a couple different style bolts. There's this Allen wrench style bolt, and then there's this T25 connector style bolt. They don't really tell you in the instructions. There is no instructions. You have to watch the video, and the video doesn't decipher between what goes where. So the Allen head goes inside here, and you put this bolt, or the nut rather, on that side like such. And when it's installed together, it'll look like this. It has the nut inside there, and it goes down. So you've got left and right. The reason they have left and right is you can see it's got a bevel to it, and that bevel goes up there against this spot here, and it goes against the contour of this. So when it's installed, it'll be installed properly on that side. And in this case, they also have, you'll notice right here, if I can get this thing to focus, there's a little notch right there. That notch goes into the end of the pipe, and that way you know it only goes on one way. This end that's got the curved part to it, the flanged part, that goes against the crash bar itself, and your bolt will go through that. This bolt also on here has a little bit wider gap and a thinner gap. This thinner gap is where the bolt goes into, like that. And then on the other side you have this nut, and this nut goes into the other side, and you can see it locks into place, and then you just tighten it up. So this will actually go in this way, and the flat part will be on the outside edge, and this will be on the towards the inside. And then you just tighten it up with the T25 hex head here, which is what this one is here, I believe. Yes, T25. And the 5mm Allen head is used to tighten this up onto there. Then once you don't need to crank it down really hard, it's just basically putting it on so it's cinched in to that. And then this just slides into the end of the housing as such, and you just line up that little bead right there, goes down inside there, and that's all it sits. And then you just place it up against the bar like that, and it'll tighten up, and I'll show you what it looks like tightened up. The other thing that it does, there is some tape here that they provide you to help with this, not abrasing on that, so you just wrap a couple pieces. Unfortunately, it's not long enough to cover the entire thing, so cover the bases here where it ties onto, and then it just clamps on. As part of the first step that they recommend is to loosen up these bolts. These are T40s. There's 3 of them here. One, there's a second one up in there on the top, and then a third one down here. The instructions on the video said you had to take this plate off. You don't have to take that plate off. As you can see, you can get to that with an extension. It fits just fine in there without any issues whatsoever, if I can get it in there. So I can loosen that without taking the plate off. I don't know why he mentioned you take the plate off, but that just gives it some looseness in play while you attach it. And then after you secure it here, you just cinching it up reasonably tight. And then when you cinch these bolts back up, the T40s, it'll push it up and adhere it and give you the connection point on the frame, which allows this not to bow in. And I can say from experience working on the previous, I have a 1250, that I had the factory crash bars on. I did not have that reinforcement, and when I was doing some training and doing some drops on the bike, this actually pushed against it, and this rubber piece right here was right up against the head and started to melt when you're riding. So I replaced the entire bars, but this I wanted to get a head start on and not do it and have it prevent it from doing that rather. So putting this bar should give you that reinforcement, which will help this from pushing in against the bike if you do land on it or drop the bike on its side. So hopefully that helps. I'll give you a video here shortly after I put it all together, but it's pretty straightforward. Again, loosen these up first, get your placement of where this is on this one. It happens to be right below this little wing on the 1300 GSA, and then just make sure you have the pucks here with the the right and the left, make sure they're on the right side of the bike, and they'd go into that little slot on the end so it looks like this together, and put it together. It takes no time at all as long as you get the right parts and pieces together correctly. It's just unfortunately the instructions did not tell you, do you use this bolt or do you use the other one in the black? And so unfortunately it was kind of trial and error, and I wanted to let folks know how you would actually go about installing it. So I'll go ahead and do that and give you a short video on after it's all installed. Okay, so there it is, all installed. As you can see, it has the groove there that will line up to the frame in the styling so that it fits nice and snug on there. Again, I didn't have, this piece here doesn't expand into here to pull out. It just sits inside there, and there's that little groove right there that you can see the little plastic tier, or the tip rather, on that thing slides in, so you know it only goes in one way, which makes it nice and it won't move around. This you just snug up. As you can see, it's not a very deep nut, so you can't put a lot of force on it, or bolt rather, the bolt head. And then after everything's tightened down, it's all rigid. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere. This doesn't rattle or anything, so it's on pretty solid. But that'll help this from caving in against the bike by giving it an extra point of contact instead of just the 3 points of contact. So hopefully that helps you, and you get save some frustration out of which things go for where, because unfortunately the Touratech video didn't really explain things quite as nicely as they should have, nor do you have to take this plate off. That plate is not necessary because you can get to that bolt without doing that. So it saves you an extra step that they ask you to do, which didn't make any sense to me. Maybe on the GS it's a little different. The GSA, you do not have to do that on at all.